We on the air, we got this pockets flow. It's me and Tony on the mics, we gotta let you know of current events, little gaming, sprinkle in some entertainment. We stay humble, but our moms still think we're famous. Turn up the bass and baby, maybe let that magic flow. Our spoken word is all the things you really wanna know. Having a good time on the show, T-Bows and Matty G. Tune in and hit subscribe and join us on the FAP.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Freaking Awesome Podcast. I am your host, Anthony Bowes. Maddie Late, of course, is running late. So we're going to jump right to it and let you know our guest today, of course, is 20-year tour manager and author, Monte A. Melnick for the Ramones. How are you doing today, Monty?
Doing good. It's
Excellent.
Good to be here on the Freaking Awesome Podcast.
Keeping it awesome. So, there's a lot of different things, and I'm going to give a couple seconds for Maddie to come in, and if he doesn't, we'll just go on about the news. But I had kind of heard somewhere down the line that you were actually a musician yourself before becoming a tour manager. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, sure. I was into music a long time ago. 1971, 72, I have 2 albums out on Reprise Warner Brothers and a group called the 30 Days Out, a country rock band.
Okay.
I also played in several groups with Tommy Ramone before the Ramones, a group called Triad, a 3-piece like hard rock, like Cream, and then like a group like Slade called Butch.
Okay.
So I was a bass player for quite a while, and then I moved on from there.
Yeah.
But I have an extensive musical background.
Yeah, I guess you kind of have to when you want to get into the business.
The group 30 Days Out, we opened up for the Beach Boys, Tom Rush, Quicksilver Messenger Service.
Oh wow,
old oldies back there.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I still remember all of them, so not to date myself, but it's always beautiful to touch base because it's always amazing when a lot of these songs come up on the radio and you remember them. So it's always cool that.
True. There he is. Were you stuck in traffic or something?
Right?
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Even when he says he'll be on time, he's late.
My fucking life is a mess. I'm so sorry, Monty.
That's cool. You're here. That's good. Good enough.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well, now that you're here, Maddie, and you don't really get your full introduction, let's jump into the news.
Absolutely. You want me to start?
Oh, I guess you better.
All right. So the first article I had for today is fake McDonald's CEO nearly scams restaurant for $4,000. So have you heard about this yet?
No.
Okay, this is happening way too much. So I'll elaborate. So a McDonald's in Pennsylvania was reportedly almost out thousands of dollars after a scammer claiming to be the company's CEO called demanding gift cards be purchased at local convenience stores. So the manager of the location of the fast food chain in Milesburg, Pennsylvania, took the call from the alleged CEO last Friday. The manager was instructed to take money out of the cash and purchase gift cards, providing the cards' PIN numbers over the phone, which is that already has its own complications. But the victim went to purchase the gift cards for worth $4,000 before contacting state police. The transactions were reportedly canceled and the money was returned. The incident is another example of a phishing scam, which callers request cash transfers or personal information. So I think we've all had one of these calls, not necessarily for this, but something similar.
Still, okay, so let me get this straight. The CEO of McDonald's called the store and asked them to buy gift cards. Like what, Apple cards?
Yeah. I need to top up my iTunes, man.
Right. I need $4,000 worth of gift cards.
My secretary's on mat leave.
Yeah, I feel at that point you need to put down the phone and call the regional manager or something before you go through anything, because the CEO wouldn't call up a local restaurant.
Oh my gosh. Cards. Crazy, man. And like, I don't know if you've been getting them, but I the other day I had 30 robocalls about like the tax scam. You know what I mean? Because everybody's doing their taxes right now.
Yeah, you're going to jail. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Reported to the magistrate, yet we don't answer to the magistrate.
I love that one. So yeah. I had someone calling out of Atlanta the other day, asking me if I had someone managing my stocks and if I was into Bitcoin. As soon as I heard that, I'm like, yeah, and we're done. So
Don't give away your Bitcoin, man.
Right? I'm not gonna do that again.
No.
Let me tell you.
Imagine the guy that I've heard of so many stories about people on the Bitcoin side where they've logged in to discover that they had 3 Bitcoins worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Didn't even know it was there. Bought it way back in the day when it was valued at nothing. Okay. And people are making millions off that now.
Yeah. So I don't know. Monty, do you get the regular spam call coming in?
Oh, all the time, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of McDonald's, what was the name of the restaurant in Coming to America?
McDougal's.
McDougal's, yeah.
Did you know they opened a McDougal's? There was a pop-up shop to celebrate. It was a local restaurant, and I think it was in New York.
Yes, they popped up here.
Yeah. I would have loved to.
Well, that's because he comes to Queens. Well, I live in Queens.
Yeah.
To find the Queen.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
And then they spoof on McDonald's there, McDougal's and all that. Yeah, that shop pops up all the time.
That's really.
Did you watch the sequel yet?
No, I haven't seen it. Is it good?
I haven't watched it either. I'm hoping you'd tell me.
I would like to say it's going to be good, but I'm a little hesitant because I worry they're going to just pull the same old jokes, kind of like an old Mr. Bean rehash. So
yeah,
we'll see. Eddie Murphy's got a lot of comeback to make, so you never know. All right, my news. The title of this one was, "Why is this California stuntman spending 24 hours in a pool of bean dip?" So Hunter Ray Baxter, who of course was trying to drum up customers for Los Toros Mexican restaurant while getting a tattoo of its logo. So what happened was this stuntman, of course, grew up on eating tacos from this Mexican restaurant. And they found out because of COVID, they weren't able to keep their doors open. So they were letting people know that they'd be closing down by the end of the month. Well, he couldn't have this. So he decided to stage his own stunt to drum up some business. So what happened, though, is he decided that he was going to get an inflatable pool and spend 24 hours in bean dip. And while basically the world walked around him, all while eating tacos, and hoping to drum up more business. And apparently it was absolutely amazing the amount of people that he brought in. People were waving and buying up tacos and just sitting around him while he was eating. Now the question was, how are you going to spend 24 hours in a pool of bean dip and have to go to the bathroom? So he thought about this, though. He thought about it. He changed his diet for 6 weeks leading up to the event, so that he wouldn't have to go to the bathroom, except for obviously peeing. So he had a hose that if he needed to pee. So that it's where was the hose going? Into the bean dip.
I don't think with beans you have to worry about pissing. I think the flatulence is a more problem.
Right? Wow, this thing's still steaming. No, it's not. It's just bubbling up.
Funny because
oh my God.
one of Ramones' companies is called Taco Tunes.
Oh,
they're a publishing company.
Yeah.
And of course, one of the lyrics in one of the songs is "Sitting here in Queens, eating refried beans." So they were very into Mexican food.
That's really cool. I like that. In the end, basically, he pulled it off. He suffered. He had a wetsuit on underneath, so that he either A, didn't get too cold, or didn't suffer some type of skin irritation from being in beans for 24 hours.
Super pruny, I would imagine. Yeah.
So but in the end, I kind of look back and I'm like, wait a minute. You're a movie stuntman, and all you could come up with was sitting in beans. You couldn't have jumped some cars or come up with something really cool that would have made people wow. You sat in beans and ate.
Yeah, I could shoot me out of a bean cannon, or
I feel like that's just be me on a super lazy day. I'm just sitting in the backyard in a kid's pool.
Yeah, I come over, just throw a bag of friggin' tortillas in there.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I tip my hat to him for trying to generate buzz for a closing restaurant and trying to save them. I feel like his effort was maybe a C at best.
Yeah.
So, all right.
It was a B effort for beans.
Beans. Oh God.
But alrighty. My next piece of news. So Tony, I actually sent you a picture of this. I don't know if you can pull it, but
Now
I'll tell the story, and you have
photo access now at this late in the game.
Denying me photo access. Come on, man.
I'll see what I can do while you're talking.
So, man allegedly steals playground slide, found attached to bunk bed. So, I don't know whether this guy's a hero and a really awesome dad or what. So, every kid wanted a slide attached to their bed at some point during their childhood. A lucky kid in Washington State likely enjoyed that dream. Too bad the slide was allegedly stolen. While searching a mobile home for stolen Cadillac converters in Detroit, the Pasco Police Department discovered a gigantic playground slide attached to the side of a bunk bed. The 400-pound slide was allegedly stolen from a playground in December. In a Facebook post, Pasco Police noted that the slide had been modified and hooked up to the top bunk bed. I love, not only is it really funny, like just how they lugged this 400-pound slide back and put it in this kid's house, but like the guy that stole it, like,
yeah, he definitely doesn't look like, he looks like he was under the influence at the time of this photo. You know what I think is the most amazing out of this is look at the placement of the slide and where the door is.
Right.
Now, if that's the closet door, nobody's using that door. If that's the door into the bedroom, it's like only enough for a child to get out.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's insane. So I definitely feel like you know, someone is definitely taking too many substances when it comes time to getting slides for your kids. Just go out and buy a damn slide for your kid. Don't steal it from the playground.
Right. And like, it's crazy. And have you heard about this thing? Like, just a side note, like all this these Cadillac converter thefts. Have you heard about this?
No, I haven't.
It's happening everywhere, like US, Canada, everywhere, because they have precious metals inside of them, and people are literally stealing them right from the bottoms of trucks, cars, and stripping them out and selling the raw materials.
Wow.
So
this is as good as trying to steal all the jars of pennies from UNICEF, right? For the copper.
What are they stealing? What are they stealing?
Cadillac converters.
You mean
Cadillac? Sorry, Cadillac.
I thought they were stealing Cadillacs there for a while.
Yeah, just Cadillacs. I mean, well, okay, yeah, there is
catalytic converters.
Yeah. Damn Canadians.
Yeah. Our slang.
Our slang. Yep.
Oh man. All right. So my next, you know what? Okay, here's my next article, and maybe you've heard this term before: is weak in the knees. Have you heard that term?
Oh yeah, I have. Sure.
So you know, when people are you know, you get fancy, you're like super enamored by someone, you're weak in the knees. Well, this article is about a woman in England, of course, who has a rare brain condition that basically makes her faint every time she sees someone attractive. So this is basically a 32-year-old woman from the UK suffers a rare brain disorder that's called cataplexy. And what happens is whenever there's strong emotions, be it like anger, fear, laughter, or of course, when you're enamored with someone, she passes out. And she actually has had multiple times where she might try to go grocery shopping or do something, and she could pass out on an up to 50 times a day just by seeing attractive people as she's walking. So what she's done now in her life is she has a tendency to stare at the ground whenever she's doing something, just so she doesn't pass out while doing anything in life. And it just makes you wonder, like, clearly she's not allowed to drive anymore, right? On the off chance that you pass a jogger.
When she wants a full night rest, what does she do? Just throw on porn?
I don't know. Like it is honestly the most intriguing condition I've ever seen or heard of.
I've never heard of that.
Right? I mean, just imagine if your wife had that, Matt. Like she'd just be like Sleeping Beauty out in bed all the time.
Well, thank you, Tony. Thank you.
So yeah, that's today's news, folks. So we've got actually another comment here. Mick Manhattan jumps up. Hey, Mick, how you doing today? We have got some questions for you, Monty. As I was mentioning to Monty before, actually, Matt, you missed a bit on it. Monty, we were talking about his musical history himself and the bands that he had played in. And then, of course, you had joined on as the tour manager for the Ramones. Now, I'm assuming that all came about because you were friends with, you said, with Tommy Ramone?
Yeah, I grew up with Tommy. I went to junior high school with Tommy and went to high school with Tommy. Then I was in several bands with Tommy before the Ramones also. And I worked with Tommy in a studio called Performance Studios where the Ramones got together first.
Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of course, theories and everything, of course, that goes around with the Ramones and a lot of their history and childhood. How a lot of them kind of grew up with a bit of a rough childhood for the most part, and that was one of the kind of the glue that bonded them together. Is there like a lot of truth in that, or is that anything that you kind of noticed along the way?
Everybody had some sort of a rough childhood here and there,
Yeah, yeah.
And, it's all angst growing up in suburban. Queens is like a suburban borough,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Joey specifically had a problem because he had problems with his physical body and stuff like that. So, and a little mental thing too. So he was a little more than the other guys,
Yeah. Just
problems.
He was a tall dude, right? The height is a thing that really.
Oh yeah. He's like 6'4", 6'5", something like that. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. When you so you were playing in a band when they approached you to be their tour manager?
No. I was I was in a different band at the time. I brought Tommy into this this loft space that this woman had. My cousin Ivan was a locksmith, and he was installing a lock into a loft on 20th Street in New York City. And she said, "Do you know anybody? I would like to make this place like a small rehearsal recording studio." My cousin recommended me, and I brought in Tommy. We designed this loft as a rehearsal, small recording space, and then we were able to come in and manage the place. And I was in a group at the time, a different group, and Tommy brought in the Ramones at the time. So we had free time in the studios because we managed the place, and then we had free time in the studios. That's how I got involved with the Ramones, because they started running showcases there, and I started running the sound for them there.
Okay, excellent. Now, there's a funny little tidbit of trivia I remember coming across when I was younger, that the name Ramones was influenced by Paul McCartney.
Yes, there's a Beatle connection there, yeah. Dee
so
Dee saw that Paul McCartney checked into the hotels under Paul Ramone. So he said, "Hey, well, let's call ourselves the Ramones."
Ramones, right? I mean,
so they all took up the last name.
Yeah.
They all had to rhyme their names, because it wasn't Joey. His actual name is Jeff. So Jeffrey, he didn't like Jeffrey, so he Joey. But Johnny worked out, and Tommy worked out.
Yeah.
So and Joey became Jeffrey. He didn't like Jeffrey, so he just changed it to Joey. And Marky worked out too.
And it was one of the bands I thought was really interesting for the the first kind of group that not only came along and went under the name of the Ramones, but for all of them to change their name of last name to Ramone, so that even though they weren't related by blood, they kind of formed this brotherhood in the band itself, right? So not a lot of people go that route by kind of changing their name at that point in time to go with the band.
Well, another thing was everybody thought they were related after a while in the beginning, because then everything, hey, Ramones, you're related.
Yeah.
That was one thing. And the other thing is a lot of people thought they were like some sort of like Mexican band or something.
Right. So it was.
So it's like good things and bad things about naming yourself with the Ramone there.
Yeah, for sure. How did so let's talk about you started your book, and it's called On the Road with the Ramones.
Yeah. Well, it's been out for a while, but I just put out a new edition called the bonus edition, in which I added 40 more pages.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah. And it's funny,
you
actually.
Got to get the one with the red Ramones on it, like this. See the red Ramones? It says bonus edition on the bottom here. That's the updated edition.
And does that have like a whole bunch of additional dirt that you decided not to put in the first time round?
Well, yeah. Other things, interesting facts about the Ramones that over the years. Actually, the book came out late 2004, and I've updated it 2 other times before this, because through the years things happen in the band. Mm-hmm. People dying and this and that. So the last edition, which came out about a year ago, I needed 40 more pages of interesting information that people would like to know about the Ramones.
Yeah. I find that one of the things that I guess what they call the curse of the Ramones, right? I mean, here it
Oof.
was a
Don't say that. Don't say that. I got to knock on wood.
no, no. What we mean is like, so here's a band that gets together. They were ahead of their time in a music style. They officially were considered kind of like the grandfathers of punk, right? Even though they were more of like a rock and roll band. But because of their style, because of those power chords and short songs, they were really trying to make it something new. And or that's how people were perceiving their music, not necessarily the way the Ramones were perceiving themselves at the time. And but what gets me is their music didn't kind of skyrocket until most of them had passed on,
That's an unfortunate thing. Yeah.
right?
I would say then I'm going to call them grandfathers of punk. Iggy, the MC5, groups like that. I consider them the grandfathers of punk.
Okay.
Ramones really didn't like the name punk rock. They wanted to be just a pop music band, you know.
Okay.
And if you listen to their songs, they're poppy songs. They're not really hardcore punky songs. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, they did write some hardcore punk songs, but they didn't like the name punk in the beginning.
I think what people kind of got it was that very brash beginning of, you know, the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just went into a nice solid wall of music. And that kind of caught people by surprise. It wasn't like a slow lead up or you know, people kind of coming in soft. They just came in right in with the strength immediately.
Well, yeah. Well, at the time, you know, what they were rebelling against was like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and these long drawn out solos and drum solos and these long songs, 20-minute songs. So I figured they wanted to get back to the original. Rock and roll was really 3-minute songs, you know, good rock and roll songs. So they want to strip it down. No solos, fast songs, start, stop, nothing in between on the set. You know, the set went 1, 2, 3, 4, and the next song and the next song. That's why they stripped it down. That a lot of punk groups picked that up, you know.
Yeah.
And went along with that, you know.
Yeah, for sure. With the Ramones, I thought it was very interesting. Again, like you mentioned, very short songs. So most of the songs were under 2 minutes. And I think, in my opinion, like super amazing songs for 2 minutes that almost made you want the song to be longer. and yet, on the flip side to that, there are so many songs out there that were, especially of the time period, that were so long, like you'd said, with all those guitar solos. You know, I think of, you know, they Carry On My Wayward Son with that almost like 3-minute guitar solo in the middle of the song that you eventually kind of just like, oh my God, hurry up and get to the rest of the song, you know?
Yeah, that's what they didn't like, that they were kind of rebelling against that. The music scene at the time, you know, late 70s, mid to late 70s, late 70s. That's a lot of groups around were doing all that, and they just didn't like it. On top of that, they really Johnny couldn't play, you know, solos or anything. He was just good at what he did. Yeah, with which the downstroke and his guitar style. And he's related and one of the top guitar players now. And I see these lists now. It's amazing, you know.
Yeah. And this is the thing that gets me, right? Because they don't actually truly get to enjoy the fruits of all that labor.
That's the really pity. The 4 originals, unfortunately, you know, Tommy, Joey, Dee Dee, Johnny, they're not here to see what's going on. I mean, they're so much bigger now than when I was working for them and around.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I tell this joke 1,000,002 times. It's a million the second time. If the Ramones were this big when I was working for them, I would have gotten a big raise. They're big now. I mean, people say Beatles, Stones, Ramones in the same sentence.
That's right.
Yeah. Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
And then, but then, you know, there's still other Ramones. Not the 4 originals are not here, which is a shame. I mean, there's other, you know, Dee Dee, Richie's out there, CJ's out there, Marky's out there. Not the original Ramones, but they're still out there. People still want to hear the Ramones, 1 or 2 Ramones out there doing stuff. But you're right, the original 4, what a shame. And it took them 40 years to get a gold album. 40 years. The one on my wall up here, you can see it.
Oh, here, you know what I'll do is I'll expand the screen so people can see a little bit.
Yeah, that one over there. That's the gold album. It's behind the logo here.
Beautiful. Amazing.
And that's another gold album got there. They didn't get very many gold albums. That's the Ramones Mania album over there.
Okay, yeah.
But it took them 40 years, and finally they Sedated. Just went platinum after, I don't know, 45 years or so, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a shame.
I remember seeing I don't know who had done it, but there was the Ramones, I Want to Be Sedated, but it was all sung by a bunch of senior citizens.
Yes, that was
Remember
great,
that?
wasn't
Oh
it?
my God, it's so funny. If you haven't seen that or any of the listeners haven't seen this, you have
Well,
to YouTube it. It is really funny.
well, that's why that song went kind of platinum this year, because everybody wants to be sedated,
Right.
including,
Yeah.
including the old people. That's a perfect song for an old person.
Amen to that.
Anybody really, when
Yeah.
you're in a bad shape, that's what you want to do.
Yeah. for
That
sure.
song came about actually where they were in London, early years, mid 70s, and there was nothing, at that time there was nothing. You come with the jet lag. We come off playing a show, it was like midnight, and we're up because of the jet lag and wide awake. And at that time, there's nothing on TV. There's nowhere to go. There was no fast food places, no restaurants open. This is late 70s.
Yeah.
Was that so? Joey wrote that song. I want to be sedated. Nothing, nowhere to go, nothing to do. I
Yeah.
want to be sedated.
It's really funny because I remember not long ago, I think I was telling my kids that how like stores and malls and stuff were never open on Sundays. Like that's kind of a new thing still when you think about it, right? And how things were closed on a Sunday. I don't know how the world would function nowadays with grocery stores and malls and everything being closed on a Sunday.
It's a 24-hour world now.
Yep, it is.
Yeah. Our town's pretty old school though, Tony. We still shut down at 6 on Sundays. I know all the other people are like other towns or cities just open until 9, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
24 hours sometimes.
That's right.
What town is that?
We're in Kingston, Ontario.
Oh, okay. All
So
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Our bars are
Good
open,
spot.
but the rest of the place shuts down.
Yeah, it shuts down early, our city. So.
Yeah, a lot of it does. Well, especially right now with COVID in place, right? Everything closes down. Like you can barely get out of work and rush to the local mall to get something before their new COVID hours kind of kick in. Everything's open, you just can't get there in time sometimes.
Wow.
I had a question for you, Monty. I read that you've been part of 2,200 live shows over the years.
Yeah, pretty much most of them. I miss a few in the beginning there.
Yeah, which is insane. That's insane to me. But how I guess what percentage? What were all of them with the Ramones? Like what percentage of those?
No,
were...
yeah. That's it. I mean, the Ramones played 2,263 shows.
Yeah,
they counted, and then actually in the back of my book, I list every single show.
Wow.
So if you hey, I saw the Ramones in 1980 somewhere, and then you can look in the back of my book and scroll down October. Oh, there it is. That's where I saw them. Yeah, that was my job for over 20 years.
That's incredible.
A lot of tour managers, you pick up a group and then they come off tour, and then you got to find another group. With them,
Yeah.
I was lucky enough they kept me around. So I worked with them on videos, and of course, Rock and Roll High School. I worked with them there, and rehearsals and stuff like that. So they kept me on salary for all those years, and there's plenty of work, plenty of jobs, nonstop touring at times there. So I was kind of lucky.
Can you give us a good prank story when you guys mess with each other a little bit? You got any of those for us?
Well, the thing is, they like to prank me, a lot.
Okay. All right.
Because they figured it was good, because if they started pranking each other, they get into fights. Hey, why are you doing this? Why are you doing? So they were pranking me a lot. So
The scapegoat.
I carry like a Halliburton or briefcase around. They put honey on the handle, when I pick it up and stuff like that, or on the door handle or stuff like that, and stupid like high school pranky jokes. But they did it to me. So, but that's part of being a tour manager, road manager. You got to take that stuff as long as they're not fighting and killing each other. Oh, why'd you do that to me? Blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
So I took the brunt of a lot of those crazy, idiotic jokes. Putting pails of water when you walk in the door, and all the whole gamut of nutty stuff.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
The classics. Yeah.
Yep. The classics.
In fact, there was, the crew did this one day. I'm looking at the crew room, and there's a sign called "No Melnicks." Like I can't come into the crew room. So the band loved that. They actually put that in one of the videos. They projected it up on the Times Square sign. No Melnicks.
Oh my God.
And also a lot of the crew would write this on the walls in clubs. So other groups would come around and say, hey, what the hell's going on? I saw you No Melnicks up there in the ceiling. What's going on here? The idiot crew was writing No Melnicks all over the place.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah. And actually in the sedated video, if you watch the beginning, I walk out and somebody comes out with a sign that says no Melnick. So watch that carefully, right in the beginning of the sedated
I didn't
video.
catch that.
I didn't catch that either. I'm totally gonna have to rewatch.
It's right in the beginning, right in the beginning. It's very fast. I walk out. This guy comes with a sign, no Melnick, and I walk off. Feel like I have to get off the set. Because if you know the sedated videos, a lot of people coming in and out of the set.
Yeah. Constantly people touring around them while they're sitting at the table.
They liked it so much, they stuck it in there too.
Yeah, that's really cool. So that's a nice little Easter egg, right? Here's an inside joke that happened with you, and for them to throw it in the videos and stuff like that, most people probably wouldn't have even noticed it and or known what it meant.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. So speaking of kind of like that kind of bad blood or feud, now was it Tommy and Johnny that were having the
no, Joey and Johnny.
It was Joey and Johnny. They didn't have really kind of a on stage chemistry, but not so much off stage.
You know, a lot of groups, the girlfriends get stolen away. You know, different. This happened a while in Clapton and somebody else. I don't know. There was other groups that happened. So Johnny, Joey was dating Linda for a long while. They almost got married. You know. Engaged, and then Johnny decided to get with it. But Johnny and Linda were married for 20 years after that.
Okay.
It was tense. It wasn't as bad as people make it out to, because they had to talk. Because they went on stage. They had to do albums of what song to do, blah, 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 you know? Yeah. So they just didn't socialize, basically, you know what I mean? Or didn't have any social banter, you know?
Strictly business kind of thing?
Well, they realized, you know, being on stage, any of you guys play music? Are you musicians?
Matt's a musician.
Yeah.
You know what it's like when you're on stage and you're playing and the audience is feeding back. That's a high.
Yeah.
That's super, super duper high. And that's why a lot of groups, when they come off stage, they want to keep that high going. They get, they take drugs or booze and stuff to keep the high going. But the Ramones realized that, going on stage and then getting that feedback from the audience and putting out albums after album and just creating was better than fighting. So they just kind of let their social interaction was to a minimum.
Okay.
People, the story got out of hand over the years. And they would talk to each other all, period. No, they had to talk to each other,
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a lot of kind of really cool information I honestly didn't even know. And you always hear about a lot of these rumors, and you kind of wonder, you'll never really know, especially with the original four now, what was there and what wasn't, unless you come across someone who actually knew them personally versus, just behind on the other side of the stage or something. So
I was there from the beginning to end. Actually, the only other person that was there from the beginning of the Ramones to the end was Arturo Vega, who designed the logo. He's a lighting director and also designed the t-shirts.
Yeah.
He passed away, unfortunately. So I'm the only one left that was there from the beginning of the Ramones to the end of the Ramones.
Wow.
And onward to
that vast
whoever's left now.
Are you a vegetarian or what's your secret?
Here's my secret right here.
Oh yeah, you're well preserved. Awesome.
Right. Sometimes the best way to get through.
I want to be sedated.
Yep. Well, I mean, that you got all that vast knowledge now, and you're like the one person who now is the de facto go-to if anybody needs to know this, right? So another reason, if people are interested in more works of the Ramones, to pick up your book and check it out, especially the bonus edition that has 40 pages more in there.
It's got to get the one with the red Ramones on it.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm up against my own book and on Amazon. My old book's still up there. So people, it's weird.
Hey, you know what? It's
a good problem to have. I mean,
yeah. Right. Amazing. Awesome. So let's jump into the next part of our show, where we've got 20 slightly slower than average rapid fire questions with Matty G.
So, the name just keeps getting longer. Eventually, we're gonna have to come up with an acronym.
Wait a minute. That sounds slow to an average rapid fire. That's an oxymoron.
Yeah, exactly. That was our point.
So I mean, these.
I see.
Relatively quick questions, but sometimes they go off on a story or they remind you of something, and we always make a little time so that people can hear these things. So these are 20 relatively easy questions, just for our listeners to get to know you as a person better, and if they make you think of anything else, have at it.
All right.
Alrighty.
Here we go.
Question number 1: What made-up word would you register into the English language?
Ramones Mania.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Sweet. What is the scariest dream that you can remember?
Dreaming of freaks and pinheads.
Oh. Yeah.
Can do it.
The classic monster stuff.
If you could pick a superpower, which would you choose?
Whew, that's a hard one. Being invisible.
Yeah.
I always find it so interesting the amount of people in show business that want to be invisible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if
It's
it's
so
just
true.
because you're in front of everybody for so much, like you just want to be able to turn it on and off and disappear. Or
Yeah.
Or get into places where you don't belong.
Good point.
Patty in the women's shower room.
What is your earliest childhood memory?
I don't know, being on a swing, some playground somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Did you grew up in Queens?
Yes.
Nice.
Forest Hills, where the Ramones are from.
Yeah.
Very cool.
In fact, in front of Forest Hills High School, they named the street Ramones Way.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
They get their way after all.
Yeah.
What activity in the present day makes you the happiest?
Being with a beautiful woman.
Fair. Yep.
Yep. What foreign language would you most like to learn?
Spanish. I'm trying to learn it now and babble, but it's difficult.
Yeah.
The older you are, it's harder to learn a language.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
It is.
I've seen Babel. It's pretty cool, actually.
Haven't tried that.
If you could relive a decade, which would you choose?
Well, the late 60s.
Okay.
I grew up there. I went to Woodstock.
Oh, nice.
that's
Nice.
cool.
I was a hippie. I was an old hippie.
Very
Or
cool.
young hippie. Actually, back there I was a young hippie. Now I'm kind of like an old hippie.
I read somewhere you were into sports before music. You still like sports?
In high school, I was on the golf team.
Okay.
And no, I got out of sports when I went into music and then some tour managing and all that. Yeah. Not really time for sports on the road there.
Yeah.
No.
See, that is something you would not find in Canada, the golf team.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Football, soccer, hockey.
Well, that's funny because people say, yeah, I said, hey, I got my letter in high school. Hey, what? Baseball, football? No, golf. In fact, here it is, right here. I have it right here.
Oh, you still have it.
That's sick. See,
Forest
I
Hills High
love to
School.
golf. I love to golf, but I cannot watch it on TV.
No, me either.
No.
It's one
So-
of those things that, as much as I love baseball, I actually have problems watching baseball on TV, but go to a game, that's where the magic is.
Yeah.
So,
True.
yeah.
True. What was the first movie that ever made you cry?
To tell you the truth, I don't think I ever cried at a movie.
Yeah, see, that's great. You're the first person. I'm always waiting.
Yeah.
I've always waited for one person to be like, I didn't cry at a movie.
That's
great.
great.
It's like that line. Yeah, there's no crying in baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no crying in a
What
movie.
are tears?
I'm sure I have, but I can't remember right now.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Terry Crews was like, it could make a grown man cry, but not this man. Get back in there, tear.
Do you believe in aliens?
Yeah, sure. I think there's other things out there.
Yeah.
I know that we haven't seen them yet, but I'm sure there's other
The odds
Yeah.
are in our favor.
the aliens way out there. I mean, there's so many galaxies and universes out there, so I'm sure there's something out there. We haven't seen it yet, but I'm pretty sure there are.
As long as they don't come down and try to pass me a metal baton, because I'd just freak out and think they're about to probe you. So yeah.
Yeah, right, Tony. You'd be like,
Right.
take me back to the ship.
Holy shit, it fell through.
Oh
How would you spend $100 million right now?
Oh my God. I mean, that's a lot of money. I could do a lot of things, Move to a beautiful penthouse in New York, Manhattan,
Mhm.
travel.
Nice.
You know what I love is you're born in New York, you're still in New York, and even if you had $100 million, you'd stay in New York.
I
That
love
is a
it.
true
That's
New
I-
Yorker.
one of the places I'd have with $100 million. I'd have places in the
Multiple.
Caribbean and
Yeah.
Europe and France and stuff like that.
But still, you said New York first, and that's what I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed with that.
True
That's
New
Well,
Yorker.
I
Yeah, I
I
love
am.
it.
Born and bred in New York. I love New York.
Yeah, I love it. That's great.
I'm in the New York state of mind.
Yeah.
Hey, seeing the Rockefeller trees on my bucket list. I haven't been to New York yet. It's one of the few places in the States I've been, and we're so close. So I'm really excited to come that way.
Yep, me too. I've you see it on TV. I've actually been at Rockefeller's place in the summer. Never at Christmas. I'd love to see the lighting ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it'd be amazing. If PETA wouldn't give you trouble, what exotic animal would you domesticate?
I like ferrets.
Yeah,
yeah,
ferrets are cool.
they are kind of cool. Little musky,
Yeah.
but they're good.
Although a lot of people have, few people have them pets, and I'm not sure if they're exactly that much.
I think they have
out
to
of
be degland. They say they have to degland them because they're pretty stinky.
I have a cat. I like cats.
Nice. I like cats too. I have
Yeah.
2 dogs, but I like cats.
My friend had a ferret when I was young, and it was, I don't think he had it desacked or whatever, so it was kind of stinky. But that little bugger used to bite everybody. Everybody. It was like the viciousest little thing. And of course, you see in movies they're super cute. No, they're not. They're vicious little buggers. So, yeah.
Any Ramones questions here, or just random stuff?
No, these are for you. This is about you right now.
How many more you got?
Yeah.
What's your biggest pet peeve? What gets on your nerves?
This COVID situation. Everything closed down. It's hard for me to get back to I was working in the theater, Queen's Theater in the Park as an in-house manager. I enjoyed that job, and things are got to open up again. That's my pet peeve.
Yeah.
For sure.
Now, since you mentioned it, if you had to go back to the highlight of or the high days of the best part of touring with the Ramones, what would have been your pet peeve back then?
The touring with early years was the peeve was, crummy clubs, lousy back dressing rooms. The transportation wasn't great. The hotels weren't as good as they got in the end. So there's a lot of little pet peeves in the beginning, but the end, it worked out very well.
Doing pretty good. Okay, cool.
Well, I got two questions for you last. So the first one is, what is the best thing you've ever eaten?
Oh my God. I mean, the Ramones were foodies.
Oh.
So everywhere we went, they'd have a specialty. Like in Norfolk, Virginia, there was crab cakes, and Cincinnati was 5-way chili.
Cool.
Of course, they loved in Los Angeles tacos. That's why they named their production company Taco Tunes.
Yeah.
And so they toured so much, so every city they went to, there was a specialty that they really liked, and they made sure the promoter or the club owner would bring it into them. So I like all those things. And, New Orleans was gumbo and all that stuff down there.
Yeah.
So it's, the beautiful part about the United States is there's so many different regions and different foods all over the place. So that we got the benefit of touring so much, and we got to enjoy all those foods.
Very cool. That's
I have
amazing.
to tell you though, and it's true, where I have been in the US and the food I've sampled, Americans know how to make amazing food. I don't know what it is, but I mean, I find that, we've got poutine. I like that. What else have we got? Maple syrup. Oh, we're not really well known for a lot of our foods, right? But you go down to the US, and not only is there like all this, just like the menus are packed with different types of food from all over, but really copious amounts of food on the plate. Like there's always a full meal.
Yeah. Well, there's different regions in the United States. That's why it's so beautiful. North, south, east, west, and each one region has its own food and culture and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful part about that.
Very cool.
Cool. Very cool. I like it.
Nice. And the last question I have for you today is, what is your favorite podcast that you've been on in the last 6 hours?
Let me think about that. It's a podcast I was doing. Freaking awesome podcast.
I like how you shorten the time span down there, Maddie. You're he was doing something 6 hours before this.
I know he's a popular guy. So
yeah. So I like how you tighten that up on the off chance he'd been somewhere else.
Yeah, it's like usually 12 hours. So I was like, I better shorten this in case he's been somewhere better than us.
Well, Monte, I got to tell you, I really appreciate you spending some time coming out and talking with on the show, telling us about the book. Did you want to pitch anything that you're working on, anything you're passionate about, or even just how people can get your book?
No, just the book is on Amazon.com.
Okay, excellent.
And I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Monte A. Melnick, right
okay,
there.
on both of them, perfect.
Yeah.
Just like that. Excellent. So if anybody's out there and would like to see a little bit more of Monte and what he's up to, jump onto his social medias. For people that are on the road and for those who are not listening to this podcast at the same time, we'll make sure we put a beautiful picture of Monte up on our guest section of our website, as well as a link to his book and any of his social media.
We're finished already?
Already. Time flies.
45 minutes goes by quick.
Really, really fast.
That's freaking short, man.
Well, it just means we'll have to have you back.
It definitely does. Yeah, let us know what's happening. Keep in touch, and we'd love to have you back a little later in the year.
My pleasure.
Excellent.
Gabba gabba hey to everybody out there.
Have an amazing evening.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.